Okay, Co-Chair Moana.
Okay. Hello everyone. So recording has started for this meeting. We will continue with doing introductions. So if we could have maybe I don't know who. Diana present do an introduction.
Commissioner Cuddy, can you hear us? You're muted. You're muted.
Maybe we can proceed with Commissioner Marks. Commissioner Marks.
Yes, Shane it's good to meet you all.
Councilmember, I think that's all of us except, let's see, Commissioner Cuddy, are you able to get back online?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, it was doing so well. I was seeing and hearing everybody, and then I don't know why. Good morning, everybody. My name is Diana Kariai, and I have been a volunteer member with IC for I think 5 years or so, and also a volunteer member with the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Council with the county. I've lived in Flagstaff like, oh gosh, over 25 years now. I'm originally from New Mexico, but I'm retired from the dental professional with the University of Colorado, Denver. And it's nice to see everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll jump in real quick and then we'll turn it over to Councilmember Matthews. I'm the staff liaison for the Indigenous Commission. I'm an employee of the City of Flagstaff. I am the Indigenous Affairs Administrator here with the City of Flagstaff. Thank you for being here. And then Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you, Rose. I'm Councilmember Lori Matthews, and I'm the liaison between the council and this commission.
Okay, back to you, Co-Chair. You can start the agenda now.
Okay. So call to order. Roll call. Would you be willing to do that, Rose?
Sure. Commissioner Cuddy, I know she's here. Commissioner Curley is absent. And then Co-Chair Moana is here. And then Commissioner Francis is excused absence today. And then Commissioner Lance is also excused absence. And then Commissioner Husky is here. Commissioner Marks is here. And Commissioner Washburn is here. Thank you, everybody. Go back to you.
Alrighty. Would one of our commissioners like to volunteer to do the land acknowledgement? Okay, for sake of time, I will do it. The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's Indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by Native descendants, border mountains sacred to Indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home. Moving on to part 3 of the agenda, public comment. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission on any subject within their jurisdiction. That is not scheduled before the commission on that day. Due to open meeting laws, the commission cannot discuss or act on items presented during this portion of the agenda. To address the commission on an item that is on the agenda, please wait for the chair to call for public comment at the time the item is heard. Maximum of 3 minutes per individual. So do we have anyone? Elsa, would you like to make a public comment?
Yes, thank you. So my name is Elsa Erling. I'm the Associate Planner in Comprehensive Planning for the City of Flagstaff. I have some slides here to share. I'm here to share an announcement on the Flagstaff Regional Land Use Plan and the upcoming special election, question 492. So the Flagstaff Regional Land Use Plan will be on the ballot for city voters, and they will decide whether to ratify or not ratify the regional plan through question 492. The election is for city residents only, and it's being held by mail. There will not be in-person voting locations on election day, and some key upcoming dates include April 20th, which is the last day to register to vote, and May 19th, which is when ballots will be due. And it's important to follow these timelines to ensure that your vote is counted. So if voters choose yes, the Flagstaff Regional Land Use Plan 2045 becomes effective immediately, and it replaces the current Regional Plan 2030. And if voters choose no, the current plan stays in effect, and the city will gather feedback and bring forward a revised plan in a later election. Just a really brief, what is the regional plan? It's the community's long-range policy guide for land use and growth, and it addresses topics like housing, transportation, economic development, climate action, natural resources, and public safety. And it's been developed through a multi-year public process, which culminated in the city and county adopting the plan and the city sending it to the ballot, which is required by law. The plan gives a unified policy direction, and it has a set of related maps for all city divisions in the county to use in decision making, but it does not approve specific projects or change zoning by itself, and it doesn't predetermine the budget for the city. Those decisions happen later through separate public processes. Comparing the two different plans, so the 2045 plan introduces clear priorities, it reduces the number of goals and policies, and it includes action items for implementation, and it updates the future growth illustration and land use framework to reflect current conditions and community needs. It's an interactive document. It's available online along with a lot more information that I'm going through quickly here. And there are also some in-person opportunities to come talk to staff about the plan and get more information, have more of an in-depth conversation. And commissioners or members of the public are welcome to come to any of these. And then for more information, you can also reach out to Sarah Dector, who is the Comprehensive and Neighborhood Planning Manager. Her information is here, and I'll drop it in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. Anyone else for a public comment? Yes, Phil.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. My name is Phil Scandura. I'm a 20-year resident of Flagstaff. I'm here to raise public awareness about a project that brings together two critical Flagstaff priorities: affordable housing and historic preservation. These priorities rarely intersect, but the El Pueblo Motel, they can. The El Pueblo is in danger of being lost to private redevelopment. After years of unsuccessful development efforts, the owner is selling. The buildings have deteriorated, the office has been demolished, and a private buyer would likely clear the property and start fresh. If that happens, Flagstaff will lose an irreplaceable historic resource. The El Pueblo is the oldest remaining Route 66 motel outside of downtown Flagstaff. It was built in 1936 by Philip Johnston, organizer of the U.S. Marines Navajo Code Talkers. During World War II, Johnston recruited members of the Navajo Nation, and the secret code they developed was never broken, proving to be one of America's most valuable military assets. And it all started at the El Pueblo. This property is not just an old motel. It is directly connected to one of the most significant military and cultural contributions in American history. Previous preservation efforts have struggled because restoration alone is expensive and difficult to fund. My proposal takes a different approach: adaptive reuse combined with affordable housing. I propose restoring the historic exterior of the motel while converting the interior into affordable housing units. Additional standalone units would be built at the rear of the property. The office would be rebuilt to house a future community space and museum, illustrating the history of the motel and honoring the enduring legacy and vital contributions of the Code Talkers. This plan addresses two critical community needs: housing and preservation. I've developed an action plan in collaboration with a nonprofit development team, and we are ready to move forward. Our main obstacle is land acquisition. We lack the funds to purchase the property, and private fundraising is a long and challenging journey. The city can purchase, sell, and exchange properties to meet critical community needs, including affordable housing. This project meets that need while also preserving an essential piece of our history. Signatures are currently being gathered on a future agenda item request for City Council. I respectfully ask that your commission reach out to Mayor, Council, and staff, encouraging them to give our proposal serious consideration. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Skindera. I don't know what I can say, but perhaps this is a future agenda item for us, Rose. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for your information today. Any more public comments? Okay, moving on to part 4. We don't have any minutes to approve today. Minutes will be available at the next meeting date. Part 5 of the agenda, there's no general business at this time. So we'll move on to section 6, discussion items. Presentations on ways to promote and elevate Indigenous business in Northern Arizona. First is Flag Local. Information on Flag Local and other business initiatives that may support Indigenous businesses will be presented by the Economic Vitality team. Staff members David McIntyre, Sabrina Beard, and Lori Pappas will be providing the remaining PowerPoint information from the last meeting.
Awesome. Good late morning, commissioners. Let me get this PowerPoint shared with you all. Please confirm you can see the PowerPoint.
We can.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So as a reminder, I'm Sabrina Beard. I am the marketing specialist for Discover Flagstaff, also for our smaller child company, Flagstaff Local. Flagstaff Local is a community-facing initiative that supports several pillars and values that the Flagstaff community shares, such as supporting local, being eco-friendly, voting, donating, volunteering, supporting education, and mentoring. Whereas Discover Flagstaff is kind of the marketing arm for City of Flagstaff to not only raise awareness about Flagstaff and its awesome existence and inviting folks to come and enjoy our beautiful, beautiful area, but also we do a lot of marketing to promote the weather's warming up. We're going to start talking about a lot of fire aware messaging. We've concluded our safe winter recreation messaging. Just a few examples of what we do aside from supporting our local businesses. So during our last presentation, we watched one of a few videos. It was our festival phase videos where we have 3 each year that support just a few festivals each. We have since redone the pairings in those phase videos to ensure that conversation from the previous presentation was really heard. The new festival phase pairings for Heritage Festival, it's being shown alongside Overland Expo and Route 66 Centennial. We've added an additional phase video this year to ensure that we could have proper pairings moving forward, having heard concerns from the last meeting. We've also paired Hopi Festival with Flagstaff Shakespeare Festival and Mother Road Classic Car Show. So we heard you in the last presentation. We just wanted to share an update. Unfortunately, we don't have a video example to share today, but that doesn't mean that we won't have one for the future. But what we do have today, this is a Channel 3 Arizona family lifestyle segment that was produced last year to support the Heritage Festival. It's a 5-minute video. Of course, I'm not going to take up a whole 5 minutes with the video, but just want to give you the first couple minutes to give you an idea of what it looks like. We did provide our PowerPoint in advance, I believe, last month. If anyone would like to see this in a different format, I have a YouTube link that I am happy to share in the chat. But in the meantime, I'll just get this shared with you all.
I know one way you can stay cool this summer.
Yeah, heading up the hill.
Oh my goodness.
I know one way you can stay cool this summer.
Yeah, heading up the hill, so to speak.
Exactly.
Of course, we're talking about Flagstaff. It's a gorgeous place to visit, really any, but especially right now as the temperatures are climbing.
Lots to do, lots to see. Daryl found out the hard way. He got to go up there. And it is known for its festivals and one this month, the Heritage Festival.
The Heritage Festival is a celebration of all that the Museum of Northern Arizona hosts every June. It provides an outlet for art itself and others that will show their work here in the beautiful surroundings of the Museum of Northern Arizona. There will be plenty of art such as pottery, paintings, printmaking, photography, jewelry, and there will be live performances and food. The Museum of Northern Arizona has beautiful campus. We're right next to the San Francisco Peaks, which is one of our sacred mountains here. So visitors can expect to see a lot of really good art, a lot of really good performances, and be able to take in the cool weather of Flagstaff.
The Heritage Festival at M&A is our premier festival, a signature program of M&A. The festival celebrates art and culture of the indigenous peoples of the Colorado Plateau. So you will see everything from jewelry to 2D art to Kachina dolls to basketry and pottery. There will be nearly 100 artists who will be participating in the art market. So you can see demonstrations of artists making their work. In addition to the art market, there are traditional dances and music throughout the days on Saturday and Sunday.
And Jonah, let's just talk a little bit about the evolution of this festival from where it was and where it is today.
Okay, the Heritage Festival is really unique because it started from a series of art shows that highlighted certain tribes in the Four Corners area, most notably the Yuzuni, Hopi, and Navajo tribes. So each year there would be a separate art show for those tribes, but after COVID, we decided that it would be more, I guess, productive for us to the museum to highlight all the different tribes in the Four Corners area. So I brought a couple of items to show. Here is a piece of my process. I do a form of cast.
I hope that gives everybody a good idea of what the segment for Heritage Festival looked like. Is there any feedback at this time for this video? I can't see the chat, but hearing no comments, I will continue these slides. And of course, we can chat about it anytime. Another example of Discover Flagstaff support, we do produce a visitor guide every year. Lori might be able to better speak to the amount of visitor guides that are distributed each year, but we do have a shop section, so we can talk about just some really fun shopping in Flagstaff. You can see we have shopping centers listed as well as art galleries. And then we do have Oak Creek Vista Overlook with the art market in Oak Creek Canyon, which I know we talked about a little bit during our last presentation. So just wanted to share that example. Oh, and I see Lori's hand. Hey, Lori.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Lori Pappas, Marketing and Media Relations Manager for Discover Flagstaff. And then just responding to Sabrina's question in regard to the visitor guide. We print annually 100,000 copies. What's important to know about those 100,000 hard copies is that it also exists digitally. Discoverflagstaff.com gets more than 3 million page views annually. And the visitor guide is definitely part of that impressive number. Getting back to the hard copy and distribution, sharing that the visitor guide is what we like to say is travels with us worldwide. And what we mean by that is digitally, we get requests for potential visitors saying, hey, please send me this visitor guide. In addition, it travels with our sales team internationally, as well as to some domestic conferences. And those conferences could be representing attendees in the travel trade industry. So think about organizations such as the National Bus Association, motor coach type vendors. And then also it travels with our earned media team. So when we are on media missions, the visitor guide also helps tell a robust story with journalists as well as social media influencers. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Our
We do-
final example.
Sorry, Sabrina, to
Apologies.
interrupt. We did have a question in the chat really quickly from Commissioner Kudiai. Would it be possible to only show the dancers as native dancers, is her question.
Would it be so the video that we provided channel 3 for the segment was video that was provided to us by Museum of Northern Arizona. We can absolutely ask for that change moving forward, but to promote the event, we just partner with the event organizers and we produce the video that's provided to us.
Yeah.
But
so you
we can
didn't make the video. It's something that you've received as promotional material for.
Yes, Discover Flagstaff paid for the segment to be produced, and we partnered with Museum of Northern Arizona to promote Heritage Festival. And through that process, we have a camera crew come up to Flagstaff for the interview, which you saw took place in MNA. And then subsequently, we have MNA provide video content B-roll to be provided to Channel 3 for them to incorporate in the overall final segment that you got to see today. So I'm happy to ask them for the future if and when we're going to make another segment. It might not be this year. We try to spread out our attention and ensure that all festivals are getting to take turns with different opportunities that we're not able to provide for everybody every year. But in the future, when we do partner with Museum of Northern Arizona again, we will make that specific request. Thank you.
Thank you.
So our last examples of support are through our visitor center. So we talked a little bit about Flagstaff Local and Discover Flagstaff, mainly the kind of behind the screens happenings. But the Flagstaff Visitor Center is a huge extension of our team as they are the outward facing, community facing, customer client facing team. And so what they have done is they have partnered with some different Indigenous artists to have pop-up art markets throughout the year. They have expressed interest in having more occurrences, but of course we just need more artists. So if you know of anybody that might be interested, if you're happy to send us a list or a contact information, we would be really happy to seek out those individuals and try to make some more partnerships happen. And in addition to these pop-up art markets, we also have 8 artists that we are consistently making purchases from year round so that we can have items for resale in the visitor center for all of our well, all of our visitors, of course. So I will stop there. That is the last slide for Flagstaff Local and Discover Flagstaff. We really appreciate being invited to be a part of this conversation and would like to continue the conversation beyond this presentation. We would really appreciate any lists of businesses that kind of fall into the categories that we've described today and last month. And I see Commissioner Moana, your hand is up.
Yeah, I had just a quick question on this slide. You said that there are 8 artists you reliably buy work from to resell. Is that what that's for? How often
Yes.
do you rotate that at all, or do you just stick with those 8? I guess, would you be open to looking at more artists, different artists, kind of changing it up a little bit?
Yes, sorry, I misspoke. So we have 8 artists that we are consistently purchasing from each year, but we would love to add to that list.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from other commissioners? All right, if that is all for that presentation, we can move on to the next. Thank you, Sabrina.
Hello, everybody. I'm David McIntyre. I am the Community Investment Director with the City of Flagstaff, and one of the programs in the Community Investment section is Economic Development. So I'm really excited to be here with my partners from Discover Flagstaff and our partners with Local First to talk a little bit about this topic. And this is my contact information. I can also put it in the chat, but I do look forward to speaking with some of you, whoever wants to, more directly. Next slide, please. Sabrina, could you? Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is just some of the pieces that we do in what's called more traditional economic development. In many organizations, you have economic development, which includes both tourism and what's more traditional. But in ours, actually, we're split out. Discover Flagstaff is an amazing team that is one of our partners. And then we have a small group here that's actually located here in City Hall that does what's called primary sector economic development. So this is working with businesses that are not usually a part of the visitation community, but are more focused on exports or manufacturing or other types of business. So what do we do to help provide that? We can provide analytics. We actually work with a couple different analytics providers, which can identify purchasing groups, trends in terms of who is coming and what they're buying. And we can work with any business who's interested in accessing that data to better understand the consumers here in Flagstaff. They will both be talking about the residents here. And what we do is we can provide assistance with what are called psychographic profiles so that you can really look at the market here in Flagstaff and know kind of who you're trying to sell to, so you can target your advertising better or even work with your products a little better. We also work with those analytics to help companies look into other communities to see if there are ways that they can sell to other places, because that obviously brings that income back into the community, into those people. We do love to work with our partners to refer businesses to other business supports. There are a lot of great organizations here in the city and in the county that can support businesses. And so part of what we do is figuring out these analytics, but also working with businesses to identify places they could use a little evolution or a little growth and find the right partner, like the Small Business Development Center or Moonshot, to assist in that way, or Local First, for instance. And so ombudsmanship is another area where we focus. A lot of businesses, they may know a lot about their particular product, but getting through some of the items that make it legal to do business here in the city of Flagstaff can be a little more interesting, right? So if you're buying or renting a shop and you want to put that into place, but you're going to need permits and you're going to need design work and you're not going to need a business license, you're going to need to be doing sales tax. Sometimes that can be overwhelming for certain businesses who are just getting started or for businesses that are expanding into a new community. And so part of what we do is work with those businesses to make sure that they're able to navigate all the processes involved with city government, but also in general with making sure that they're going to be doing their work here compliantly. And so we love to do that. That's a free service that we can provide for anybody who's interested in having their business here or growing their business here. And a lot of times what we see is businesses that were working out of a home or out of a garage, but are ready to move into that next step, into that actual shop space. They need a little assistance in doing that, and we can assist in that way. Also, some of our programmings provide direct funding. We can actually work with a business to provide specific funding through a grant process. You'll hear a little bit more about this in a moment, that can assist them in expanding or in retaining jobs. So really, we focus there on jobs. But if your business or you know somebody whose business is interested in expanding and just needs a little help to make that expansion happen, and it's going to create jobs for our community, we can sometimes assist in that process. Can you move forward one more slide, please? So some of these business support programs, we do have what's called a business retention and expansion grant. And this is an annual incentive program. It usually releases in the fall, and it can provide funds, like I was saying, directly to a business. And we do a significant amount of outreach. We're usually on the radio, we're usually in the newspaper, we use all the social media channels we have access to. But one of the questions that I have for this particular group is how we can do a better job in reaching our Indigenous businesses. We don't normally see as many applications from Indigenous businesses as we'd like to. And we certainly can't require people to come in for funding, but we want to make sure we're providing all the best information and making sure that we're reaching people when we're doing this. Another program that we partner with Local First on is what's called the Green Business Bootcamp. And this is where we work with Local First and Sustainability Division here at the city to provide a series of classes that work with businesses to identify ways that they can do their business in a way that's more efficient with energy, with water, and other pieces that way. And there's two benefits there. One is it addresses some of Council's climate goals and helps to reduce the energy and resource use here in Flagstaff, but also is really focused as well on helping businesses to reduce their ongoing costs. This is one of the places where sustainability and economic development really makes sense as a partnership. And so a business can come forward, they can learn ways to save a bunch of electricity or save a bunch of water. That's going to reduce their bills long term, making their business more successful, and also help with our climate goals. Not only that, but at the end, our businesses normally graduate and have a project in mind that they want to do. And the city and Local First can work together to help find funding for that particular project so the business can actually implement some of these pieces. And then we have attraction incentives as well. And this is funding that we can use when a business wants to locate into Flagstaff. So speaking specifically for our Indigenous partners, somebody who is coming in from another state or from a tribal space but wanted to locate in Flagstaff, we can actually help with that relocation. We can actually help with that attraction. So if your business or somebody in your family's business wants to come here, we can work with that. You do have to have more than 10 full-time employees, but we would love to assist your business in landing in Flagstaff. Next slide, please. We also have two facilities that are up on the mesa. They have great views of the Sacred Peaks. There are two buildings that provide office and lab space as well as space for manufacturing. They are restricted to certain specific business sectors, and that's because we got some of the funding for these facilities from the Economic Development Administration, so they put grant restrictions on there. But any business that's willing or interested in focusing on science, technology, clean energy, manufacturing, biotech, digital products like software, emerging technologies, tourism, or job creation can actually land in the incubator or the accelerator. I hope most of you have heard of these facilities before. And then these facilities also come with an organization called Moonshot that provides business development. As we kind of talked about earlier, sometimes businesses have great ideas, great products, great skills, but they don't know all the pieces about payroll or about accounting or about marketing or about how to protect your intellectual property. And so we actually contract with a nonprofit called Moonshot to work with our clients who are up there in those facilities to help them figure out what areas they could use a little more support or growth in, and then to provide that. And so we also want to make sure that we're able to provide that information in a way that reaches our Indigenous community members. Next slide, please. I'd be happy to take any questions. I see Commissioner Marks here in the chat. Yeah, I would love to. Are there materials? So we do have flyers. We do usually put out, as I mentioned, Indigenous digital information, and we would love to work with this commission in the future to make sure that we're reaching as many of our Indigenous-owned businesses as possible. I don't have a list of who that is or really a great way of accessing that information, so it's something where I hope there'd be an ability for us to work together with this commission to make sure that we're using whatever the right channels are to reach those populations and to reach all our community members. Our programs are for everyone throughout the community, but we really do want to focus on making sure that each group has the ability and the interest, that has the ability or the interest, has access to this programming. Multiple businesses, I believe, could jump on one application. It would require them to demonstrate to us, how it was going to be a partnership, how that would work. And also how that would lead to either the expansion of jobs or the retention of jobs in the community. But yeah, I don't think we limit it to one business. In fact, in the past, we've had grant processes where we saw multiple businesses work together to. It was a Habitat and Blocklight came in together as a partnership, which was neat because it was a business and a nonprofit. So we have seen types of things like that before. And no, you don't need to go through the incubator or the accelerator to create the business assistance or the grant. Those are two separate programs. We want to be able to reach different businesses where they are. And so we like to offer the entrepreneurship guidance through the incubator and the accelerator, but we know that a lot of businesses aren't going to be clients up there. And we want to make sure we're supporting every business in Flagstaff to the best we can. There are other programs as well. These are some examples. But a lot of times what we do is we work with a business directly by having them come in and speak with some of our staff, and we can really work to identify whether we have programming that can be of assistance or whether we can refer them to a group, like I said, like Local First or Small Business Development Center or the community college for different skill development. And part of our role is to help navigate that system. Any additional questions or comments? And Commissioner Marks, did I get all yours? I was trying to read and talk at the same time. Hopefully I did all right.
I think you did great. Appreciate that.
Thank
if you
you.
need me contact, I'd love to sit down and discuss more.
Fantastic. I look forward to that.
Alrighty, any other comments or questions? Diana, you're muted.
I pressed the wrong button. Thank you for the information, Mr. McIntyre. My question is, and I have heard this from other Indigenous people who sell their art, is that having to move a business into Flagstaff or a town is very expensive because they have to live here. And so that's also one of the obstacles that they are not willing to work through because they just don't. They need to be at home as well, working on their home. But also the other part is, and I'm glad you mentioned CCC as well, because hopefully there is some sort of a skill development in their business etiquette, customer service, those type of skills that need to be developed, because not everybody can run a business in a way that encourages buyers to come in and show how a business is run, and I'm hoping that you will have some pathway there, not just because regardless of whether they can move their business into Flag or not, because they still need those skills out on the reservation when they go, they're selling at markets out there, at fairs and things like this, and I mean, I think we can all say that there is a lack of customer service in a lot of businesses. And how can we help them develop those type of skills is what my comment is. And I'm, working with CCC might be very helpful in taking a free course in something like that. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. We have actually partnered, some time ago, we partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to provide some customer service training specifically. We can also work with Moonshot to make sure that we're providing some of that skill development. A lot of times we focus more on some of the back of house types of things with like how payroll works, how human resources works, how intellectual property works. But you're very correct that it's important that we help folks to develop those what we call front of house skills as well. And so we can work with our partners on that. I do also understand the challenge of attracting businesses into the community when housing prices are significant. I think as you're likely aware, the council has really prioritized housing programs, and we're really grateful that our housing section is working so hard on that. We want to make sure that when people live here, they also can generate enough income to be able to afford the rents and the house prices. And so if you think about it, it's a two-pronged approach. We really love our housing partners here at the city, and I think they're working really hard to help find ways to bring that housing cost, to make housing more available for everyone. And at the same time, we want to make sure that there's good enough ways to develop income so that you can afford the houses here, and it's not just folks from out of town coming in. And so that's how the city's kind of trying to approach that. But we know it's challenging. That's part of the reason we have the attraction incentives, is because we know it's hard to make that move, but we want to help people make it if they're ready to.
Thank you for that information, Mr. McIntyre. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, we will move on to Local First Arizona. Rafael Tapia is the Director of Tribal Community Connections. He works with Arizona Indigenous nations, government agencies, nonprofits, and key stakeholders to build strategic relationships that increase access to resources and opportunities. How does Local First activate its mission to strengthen local businesses and communities by establishing equitable systems that level the playing field for a thriving, inclusive, and lasting Arizona economy in rural communities and tribal communities? Mr. Tapia?
Liosom Saniago, Quechamalea, Meane, Cabecoque, Ina por Rafael Tapia Tia. I'm joined by my colleague, Erin. Erin, you want to introduce yourself? And then I'll try to pop up the PowerPoint while they're doing that.
Yeah, hi, I'm Aaron Suzuki. I'm here in Flagstaff. I work for the Business Coalition team. Most of my outreach is mostly locally owned businesses, trying to get them part of the coalition, trying to do education to consumers, help them understand the importance of shopping local, buying local, keeping those dollars circulating in your community. But I also get pulled into a lot of different aspects of Local First. So our sustainability team, rural team, resilient food systems. So yeah, I'm just here as a resource for the most part.
Thank you. I have quite a bit of slides, but we'll breeze through this, and they'll showcase some of the resources and support that we provide. Erin will touch a little bit on some of our work in the northern part of the state, as well. I will do the same specifically for tribes. If there's something that strikes a chord in the content we're providing, please ask a question or maybe ask for additional information. Co-Chair Moana and members of the commission, Councilmember Matthews, thank you for having us here. So we've introduced ourselves, so we can go ahead and bypass this slide. We're really focused on a couple areas regarding our mission: increasing access to capital and financial power, investing in entrepreneurship, retaining wealth and talent in rural and tribal communities, and rebuilding Arizona's food system. We also focus, and that was great presentation of our Green Boot Camp. Thank you very much. But that's part of our reducing our carbon impacts and building a green economy. There's categories that we focus on, and I've kind of boiled them down to economic and workforce development, funding and access to capital, capacity building, strategic planning, and supporting community-based initiatives. We'll talk a little bit about each of these categories, and so we'll go ahead and share a little bit more. So we believe that Arizona thrives on a foundation of a strong, competitive local business community. So that's what we've been focused heavily on for both rural, tribal, and our urban footprint that we do have. Some of our services include boot camps. Some of that was very well described in terms of our Green Boot Camp, and what that offers are small businesses, not only in reducing costs, but also the impact they have on the environment. We have one of the largest business coalitions. One of the things that what we work hard to do is really promote our small businesses that are part of the coalition, as well as business to business initiatives. Erin's going to talk a little bit about our Northern Arizona Good Jobs Network. Very exciting what's going on there, and we'll get into those details. We do have other offerings. For example, for our food entrepreneurs, we have what's called a Good Food Finder, and that's an online service. They can put their business on there for free, and if somebody's looking for local food, they can find them on the Good Food Finder. And so we have a track for native food entrepreneurs on the Good Food Finder, and we've made an intentional effort to get more of our indigenous food entrepreneurs on there. So we have a number of resources that go from boot camps to accessing capital, and a couple of those include the Green Community Fund. After you graduate from our Green Boot Camp, our folks are eligible for a Green Loan Fund. And so if they decide to focus on a project, they're eligible up to $25,000. It could be a piece of equipment or something else that greens their business. Essentially, the model is that there's an analysis done on the savings. If it's an energy reduction, the calculation based on the savings is ideally what will be used to calculate the payback of up to $25,000. So we have loan funds that what we call them character-based lending platforms, and I'll describe that a little bit later when I cover the Rooted Relative Fund. We do provide business support services as well as incubator and accelerator programs. I'll talk about one of our newest launch in terms of an accelerator program that we just launched, and we're very excited about the progress we've made in this space, and it's specifically for indigenous entrepreneurs. Erin, you want to talk a little bit about the Good Jobs Network?
Yeah, I was going to say,
can
you just go back to that last slide really quick? And yeah, please, if you guys want to take a screenshot or, just visit the website, we have so many programs that we're running, with like the Ag Boot Camp, some of the boot camps, we do have online, so it's a statewide program for green business as well. So, some of these things are virtual. It doesn't matter, if you're Northern Arizona, Southern Arizona, wherever you're at, as long as you have access to, the internet, you're able to hop online. They're able to be a part of a lot of these programs. Not all of them, but some of them. And yeah, one thing that's not, there's so much that Local First does. This is kind of the tip of the iceberg. But one other thing we have, I think, is it 6 community kitchens now, Raphael, or is it 5?
It's 6.
6, yeah, in the valley, and that that's another amazing that's where they do the food boot camps out of, and then it's also a community kitchen. So I think I want to say that they're charging like 25% of what normal community kitchens are charging. So it really helps a lot of these local businesses get started if they're in the food business. But just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that great ads. Yeah, there's quite a bit, and those kitchens are commercial kitchens, and they focus on helping businesses build their food. It's the food economy work that we do. We have 2 parts to our food work. One is food systems, where it's the producers and the folks that are taking food to market, and then we have the food entrepreneurs that are taking those products and providing the food.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a question. I think there was a hand raised.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, I just had a quick comment. I was actually trying to get onto the Local First Arizona website and it just wasn't loading.
Is it it's localfirstaz.com.
Yeah, okay. I'll try
Is
that
that
again.
is
Thank you.
that working? Let me check real quick.
Yeah. It,
Okay.
local. Yeah, that's
You
the
know
one.
what?
It's
Yeah, I don't know what's up. Something must be down.
so yeah, I would love to take a look at your website, but I guess you can take a look into that. But thank you for that.
Yeah, same
Yeah, I'll
for
send
the
that.
Good
Yeah, thanks
Food
for letting us
Finder
know. I'll send it
website
to Lenita.
is down as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've been since yesterday, we have been having issues with our, we were sent out a notice and I thought that was resolved. So it will get resolved.
No worries.
And yeah, and take a deep dive in there. There's a lot of information. So let's see here. So Northern Arizona Good Jobs Network. Aaron, you want
Yeah,
take it away?
I'll just touch on this really quick. It's pretty expansive. It was a 3-phase project. It was originally supposed to be 4 phases. They ended up shortening it to 3 phases. But basically, the idea was trying to connect all 5 counties. Every county has their workforce development problems, challenges, and Local First was saying, like, why is every county going at it on their own? Why don't we centralize all these resources, programs? And yeah, it was a huge effort. Andrew and Jay from our rural team were the ones that really headed this up, did an amazing job. It goes into, well, these are just the counties that it serves, some of the partners that we have. You go to the next slide. And then, yeah, right now they're in the employer engagement phase. So, the whole program, it's, not only to help, develop the workforce, but then retain that workforce too, because they don't want to get these people trained, get them into these different jobs, and then lose them to places like Phoenix or California or other states after they just went through the programs and all the money and effort to get them into the workforce. So it was 4 sectors. It's retail, hospitality, construction, healthcare, and manufacturing. And all our different partners, Coconino Community College, Mojave, Yavapai Community College, they have different programs that they implemented. Here in Flagstaff, it's the RV maintenance program through CCC. And then I think, was it the White Mountain Economic Development? They have a food certification program, I believe. But yeah, it's open to all businesses, employers across all of Northern Arizona. Obviously some of the services or programs are subject to the proximity or geography. Basically how it works is if you fall in one of those categories, you say, yes, I would love to be a part of this. They could go online, they fill out a form. And then, they're eligible. I believe each, I'll get into that in the next slide, but yeah, it's just a ton of different people working across the whole, the whole Northern Arizona. You go to the next slide. So, did I miss one? I must have missed one of the slides on there. You go back. I might have left it off. If you go to our website, and I'll try to find it, I'll drop it in the chat. But it's basically someone says, yes, I'd like to be a part of it. An employer, if they fall in one of those categories, there's like 4 different levels that they could complete through here. And I think it's up to $5,000 per business that they'll actually get paid. Did you have a question, Moana?
I did on the previous slide. So I think most of us know that North Country Healthcare is closing and they're selling off to a different healthcare company. I'm wondering how that affects your project.
I did not even know that. Did you know that, Raphael? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. So I know they were one of the big catalysts in, working one of our big partners in getting this out, and, the healthcare program or certification or whatever program we got through there. But I know, obviously last year with all the cut in funding, I know it hit them really, really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sad to hear. But yeah, I have no idea. I'll have to look into that, see who's, did you know who's buying or who's stepping in?
El Rio Health, based in Tucson, is
Okay.
is going
Well-
to, I think it's still going through the process of selling, but
Well,
yeah.
at least hopefully it stays local. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure they'll probably still be very involved. Thanks for that information.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I left off the other slide, but yeah, you got the 4 levels. So like the first level is if say you're in construction and someone went through one of the construction programs, you get $100 just for interviewing someone that came through that program. So don't have to hire them. There's no, obligation, anything. You just have to give the interview, and you could do up to 10 interviews. So get up to $1,000 there. I don't have all the exact numbers in front of me, but then there's like different training, like either virtual or in person that your employees or you can attend, and you get paid, I don't know, like $20, $30 per training session, and you could do up to so many on that. There's also, if any of your employees go through any of these training sessions, and you end up giving them a raise, for attending these things, it could be 10 cents, it could be 5 cents, just any kind of raise. I think it's up to $200 per employee that you give a raise to. And then the last one is, I think, intended for like the owners or the people managing the businesses. If they go through, it's I can't remember what organization it's with, but it's training, like operational training. If they go through that and you complete, there's 3 parts of it. The business could get up to $1,000 for completing that as well. So I apologize, I don't have the exact numbers and the organizations, but I'll find the link and drop it in the chat for you.
Yeah, there's some great incentives built in, and this was, as Aaron mentioned, carved out based on creating a unified strategy, but then identifying what made sense for each of the areas to invest in. So this is the investment phase of the work and incentivizing employers and potential workforce and employees. Thanks, Aaron, for that.
One more
Go
thing
ahead.
to add, and I know, I know you have it in your slides for later on, Rafael, but the Northern Arizona Good Jobs Network, I believe it was something like $8.5 million that went to that project, and that was a grant that was won through Arizona Economic Resource Center, and that's another program that Local First has. Rafael will touch on that as well, but yeah, just another thing that Local First does to get money back in the community.
Okay, so in terms of the funding and access to capital, on the capital side of things, we have the Green Loan Fund that we talked about earlier, and then we have the Southeastern Arizona Microloan Program, and it covers these counties. We have a Green Community Fund. These are loan programs, and that's out in Pima County. And then we have grants that came through previous money that was invested by the previous administration, and we've been able to carry forward those investments, and they're called business builder grants. And these are for food producers to build the supplier side of food, the ag. And then we're very excited, and we'll talk a little bit more about our Rooted Relative Fund, which is a statewide Indigenous loan fund. All right, so Aaron mentioned that our Arizona Economic Resource Center, by now, maybe most of you have heard about it. It's a service that we provide to rural and tribal communities, including nonprofits. And the Resource Center focuses on building capacity, and it comes in the form of providing resources and support, especially when a organization doesn't have a grant writer, or a tribe has a grant writer, for example, that's spread out through 20 different departments and trying to cover a lot of ground. We will make exceptions when that's the scenario, and there's a vetting process that the applicants go through when they request services. And it might start with, we want to fund this project, and so the AZER, as we call it, will engage in a funding research phase. an individual will be assigned to work with and support the individual that's requested the service or organization that's requested the service. And then there's proposal support and looking at is this the right fit? Because sometimes, depending on the organizational structure, it might not make sense for them to go after a grant. Maybe they've only had $50,000 grant and they're wanting to do $1 million grant. The chances of that happening might not work out, but we'll work with the organization. The other is the capacity of the organization and the ability to carry out the deliverables, because sometimes it's not just getting the grant that's a success, but being able to use that money for the intended purpose. So we'll walk through with our in that customer service conversation we were talking about earlier. I think our ASRC does a phenomenal job of providing that level of support. So there's a lot of TA that goes into this process. And eventually that, for us leads to a level of success that this is dated. I believe we're at about $140 million that we brought into the state. Obviously, a lot of this is coming from federal dollars that were previously put out by the administration. And you can see where those dollars have gone to around the state. So it's pretty balanced out. I'm happy to say that of the 140 million, about 45 million has gone to tribal projects. So I'll talk a little bit about my office. I am the Director of Tribal Community Connections. Our role is to engage Arizona's 22 Indigenous nations to really build strong relationships. We created a map that looks at our service area. So we, out of respect for sovereignty, we look at the tribal boundaries versus the state boundaries. And that includes for example, the loan program and some of the services I'll talk about. So we go outside of the state boundaries, even though it's local first, it's respect for sovereign nation boundaries. So again, you've seen this slide. We do focus a lot on these 5 areas of support, and we work with primarily 3 tiers. We do engage community-based grassroots organizations that are doing work in the community to impact the quality of life. We work with government operations, nonprofit institutions in that next layer, and then we also work with tribal government. Right now we have 5 MOUs or tribal resolutions that have been passed, acknowledging Local First as a partner for the tribe. And we have 3 others in the pipeline. And so that's the engagement strategy that respects sovereignty. A lot of times NGOs, nonprofits, institutions approach tribes as a service organization, forgetting that they're a nation. They're a sovereign nation. And so we've created a strategy that addresses and respects sovereignty in our approach. These are the communities we've engaged, and I listed these because with each of these, there's a project that's going on or in the works or a service that's being delivered. And so that doesn't mean that those that are not listed here haven't been engaged. It just means that these are active partners in a project or in initiative. We also look at strategy and how we deliver. For example, and I mentioned earlier, being an NGO, an outside organization working with tribes, we need to look at how we activate an initiative. And so Local First established when we got there what we called a braiding and weaving strategy. Braiding is looking at all the internal resources that we have to make sure that, that's tribal, send it to the Tribal Community Connections team. As Erin and I are doing here, we do a lot of braiding internally to make sure that as we go out to community, we have organized our resources and how our strategy is to carry that out in a unified way. And so it's not just the responsibility of the Tribal Community Connections team. Erin has expertise that my team might not have. So we tap each other's expertise in that way. We have very strong individuals with skill sets that we bring forward to work on, and this one I identified, it's the food sovereignty work that we support and that tribal communities have identified. The braiding happens internally. That's an internal. The weaving happens externally because of the other resource partners that we're going to engage and look to work with as we carry out being a good partner and a resource to tribal communities. And so I just wanted to highlight how we've been working with some of the communities, Wallapai, Colorado River Indian tribes, Wet'suwet'en Apache, San Carlos Apache tribe. I'm gonna, can I gauge how much time I have? 'Cause sometimes I know that, Rose, can I?
We have about 10 minutes.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier the access to capital. One of the things as we started working with small businesses, both on and off the reservation, we realized that we have a lot of phenomenal entrepreneurs. And one of the barriers to building their businesses, scaling, was access to capital. There's been a lot of research done in how Native and Indigenous entrepreneurs are redlined consistently when it comes to capital, or the programs, the platforms are not designed to work with Indigenous entrepreneurs, especially those operating on trust land. We know that you can have assignment or an allotted land and a house, but you can't capitalize that. So there's no way to collateralize your assets. The Rooted Relative Fund approaches this in from a character-based land, and what we call that is we look at the character of the proposal. What is this individual trying to do with the request for a loan? Look for the business being in operation at least 2 years. Our minimum starts at 30,000 for an entrepreneur. Maximum is 250,000. And along the way, it's not just, okay, well, we've checked off on what we need. We're going to fund this and we issue the check. We provide, it's relational. We're a partner for the long haul. It's reciprocal. We're going to learn from the individual as they're going through their journey, and we're going to try to provide as much support as we can. And we're responsive. Our entrepreneurs hit snags or challenges along the way, and we look to provide additional support as they're facing these challenges, because even though they know their business, they're growing, there's challenges when you're scaling. There's challenges when you're trying to activate in maybe a new market. So we'll provide that level of support and be part of the entrepreneur's journey. There's some there's some deals that happen that are way above the 250. So we look to stack funds, if you will. Let's approve you for the 250,000 and then take that to the bank, and that leverages risk for the $1 million that you need. We have a few in the pipeline that are at that level. And so we have partners that work with us to look at opportunities where they're beyond the $250,000 threshold. We have a committee that reviews the application. These are folks in the industry that have worked with entrepreneurs that are from the Indigenous community. And so that committee makes the final decision whether to move forward with an applicant's request for money. To date, in the 16 months that we've been activating this loan program, we've issued $1.2 million to Indigenous entrepreneurs. And
Hey,
then,
Rafael, I guess, hey, sorry, I guess they said they had 10 minutes till the end of the meeting, so probably want to leave them with a little bit of time for questions too. So.
Okay, the last thing I'm excited to share is that we launched an accelerator program specifically for Indigenous entrepreneurs. And so right now we're reviewing because we just closed that program out, and then looking at the next phase of the accelerator program. It's a 6-month-long program, peer-to-peer learning model, cohort-based. And so we had built a customized curriculum specifically for dealing with challenges for entrepreneurs operating on the reservation, because there's some nuances there that they're not accounted for in other accelerator or incubator programs. And so I think that this is going to be it. Yeah. All right. Any questions?
That was a lot. I know it's a lot to take in.
I have a question. Is there contact information that we can reach out to you? Because I am looking at the website and it is working right now. But if there are other questions to get clarification regarding some of the things you presented, is there a contact information for either of you?
Yeah, I'll drop mine in the chat and along with the workforce development stuff.
This is Diana. Just a suggestion. There are tribal economic summits that you can have a table and or probably present towards Indigenous businesses. It's just a suggestion. There are conferences that go around the state as well. So you might consider that.
That's a good point. There was just a national conference last week. I was at it. It's called RES, and it's in Las Vegas every year. And it would be a good place to go and try to meet people. And if you need it, I can give you the additional information. But the entity that puts it on is based in Phoenix.
Nice.
I attended RES.
Good.
I was a presenter on Monday and Thursday, so
Okay.
I'm very familiar with RES, and yeah, and in fact, we've cut deals out of RES for for some of our programs. I'm also on the Growing Justice Fund, a pool loan fund, and I wanted to say thank you because NAF was one of the initial funders for the pool loan fund. That way, invest heavily in good food procurement and building equity into the food system.
Sorry, I was muted. Good to hear that, because that was a big initiative that we had in the beginning.
Still going strong, so
good.
Thank you.
If there wasn't any more questions, I'll just add, one last thing. And, as a part of the coalition, a lot of times it kind of just seems like common sense, right? A lot of these business owners or, entrepreneurs kind of, understand some of the stuff that we talk about, but it's, for every dollar you spend locally, it's 43 cents stays in your community versus 13 cents nationally. So just really trying to help business owners, entrepreneurs understand, even consumers, right? We're not asking everyone to buy local always. We're just saying, hey, be aware of where you're spending your money, right? And be aware of what that money does, where you spend it. Every time you buy something from Amazon, that's not supporting your community. That's not really doing any good for anybody other than those big shareholders or the owner of the company. But when you support locally, when we form those partnerships, form those relationships, it really, really changes how our communities are molded, So yeah, just really understanding if there's anything I can do local, we need to do it.
Well, I want to thank you for giving us this time and really appreciate the opportunity to present. And
yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, and we shared some documents about the Rooted Relative Fund and then the Tribal Community Connections team. We have our Rural Policy Forum coming up. It'll be in Kingman. And so that'll be in August, and we have a very strong tribal presence at that event. But that's very heavily focused on identifying what are the good things going on, what are the challenges, and collectively how can we, as rural and tribal communities, work together to address these challenges.
Thank you, Raphael. If you can send that information to me, we can send it out to the commissioners. We do have another item on the agenda that we need to get to.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Moving on to 6B, updates on event planning. Updates to be read on the following. The City of Flagstaff Community Social Powwow scheduled for April 19th, 2026. Who is providing the update on that?
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. And Daryl and Commissioner Marks, you can jump in whenever you can as well. And Mr. Commissioner Lance is on travel today. First, I wanted just to say that everything is set for the April 19th City of Flagstaff Community Social Powwow. everything's confirmed. We have our partners who are going to deliver some gift baskets. So any kind of help is available. I mean, any kind of help is welcome. We really do need some cleanup people at the end because we don't want our students to be burdened with that. And that is from 5 o'clock to, let's say, about 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. We just need like heavy mats to be mopped and washed and put away, rolled up and put away. So just a lot of muscle work that needs to happen. The other thing I want to give you is, let me share my screen here, is to choose one of these banners for our public display on various areas within the community or outside of the community. So this is a donation that was made by one of our contacts, and he has done a really good job. So we need to choose one of these and provide your preference on one of these so that he can get to printing them.
Okay. Why don't we just do a hand vote really quickly for the commissioners? Who likes banner 1 at the top?
I'm not a commissioner, but I'll vote for that one.
Okay.
I like that one because the sponsors are all in the middle and it doesn't weigh one way or the other.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it
that's
was
actually what I was gonna say as well. Because the bottom one, it kind of looks like the sponsors are only from Flagstaff High School as opposed to the city of Flagstaff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the first one too. So that's 2 that voted for that.
Same
and
here.
I
Rose,
like
3.
I like the first one as well.
Okay. I think we have a consensus for who's here, correct?
Yes, thank you.
This is Diana. I like the second one, but I like the first one as well. So to me, either one will work.
Okay.
Go with the majority.
Okay, I think majority says the first one, so we will go with the first.
Okay.
Anything else, Rose?
Thank you for that. And the only other thing I'd like to just ask is for the committees who have, the commissioners who have decided to be on one of the committees for Indigenous Peoples Day and also for the Honoring All Code Talkers celebration to start having meetings. Okay. And I think you know who you are. So I had sent out an email earlier to see what your schedule might look like regarding that too. So just wanted to pass that along. And I think everybody for just your contribution to this commission. There's a lot that we'd like to do. I'm beginning to start collecting names of Indigenous businesses so that we can have a better knowledge of who's out there and what they're doing too. So if you have any of that information, please send it my way so we can share it with our people who have resources.
Okay. Part 7, we don't have any informational items. Do we have any informational items from commission members, staff, and future agenda item requests? I'm at time, but no. All right, I move to adjourn the meeting at 12:30.
Great job.
All righty, thank you, everyone.
Raphael and Aaron, and whoever else is on there, I invite you to be at the powwow.
Yes, please come.
All 3 days. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Take care. You too.
Thank
you.
Bye.
See you.
Hey,